Okay, Unit 4, Lecture 3B. We just talked about the increase in voter participation, the changing nature of the political parties and the system, the political system. Now I want to talk about President Jackson and his ideas. President Jackson's going to take office in 1829, and right away he uses the spoils system to reward his supporters with government jobs. The spoils system, I want us to remember a couple things about it. The quote, "To the victor go the spoils." All right, remember that. You may see this. "To the victor go the spoils." That's about the spoils system, okay? He rewards political supporters with government jobs. He looks at this as an increase in democracy. It allows him to rotate people into public office, increase American participation in the democracy, all right? Other people criticize it because you're giving people that are unqualified for the position government jobs, all right? So, but he thinks of it as a democratic reform. It's rotation in office, according to him. Every white male, according to Jackson, should participate at some point in his life in the democratic process. So, to the victor go the spoils. Remember the statue, okay? And I should have put this one up before. Remember King Andrew, all right? King Andrew and Old Hickory are his nicknames, all right? So Jackson's also got away with politics we'll talk about later on, all right, when we get to South Carolina. Jackson's opposed to the Bank of the U.S., the second Bank of the U.S., the bus, second bus. All right, he distrusts it. He thinks it's an undemocratic tool of the Eastern elites, the wealthy, privileged businessmen in the East, all right? So he doesn't like it, and he vetoes the bill's recharter when the bus comes up in 1832. This veto is very, very special because it's the first time a president doesn't veto a bill because he feels it's unconstitutional. Jackson now sets precedent that the president can veto a bill because he doesn't like it. That's it. All right? So he stops it from becoming law. Veto means I forbid. It's a check of the president on the legislative branch. So he uses it for the first time, not about arguing over constitutionality, but because he feels he doesn't like the bus and it's bad. All right? So now the president has the right to veto anything he doesn't like. All right? Becomes a major issue in his re-election campaign. He wins an overwhelming victory, so he thinks that people support him, and they do. The problem with the bus is, as he shuts them down and takes all the funds out of the national bank and puts them in state banks, it's going to be one of the major causes of the Panic of 1837, a long period of economic depression in the United States. So the shutting down and vetoing of the second bus is one of the main causes of the Panic of 1837, all right? We saw that we have a big voter turnout. We see an increase in sectional differences too now. And I think I said it earlier, tariffs come up. The North likes tariffs because they're industrial. Okay, the South hates tariffs because they import everything, don't make anything. The tariff of 1832 that's passed, it's called the Tariff of Abominations, near the end of Jackson's first term, is a very, very high tariff. All right, the leaders of South Carolina argue that it's unfair. They hate it. They say since the states are self-governing, sovereign, that they can nullify or void federal laws, okay? Of course, they all had agreed to the supremacy clause when they signed on to the Constitution, but they ignore that, all right? They think that they can nullify or void federal laws. This sets us up for the nullification crisis. All right. South Carolina also said that since they had voluntarily joined the Union, they could leave if they wanted to. All right. And Jackson does not see things this way. He says states cannot nullify laws and you cannot leave. So he calls out the military. He gets on and he says, South Carolina, you have to toe the line. And this endangers the future existence of the United States. All right. This Union cannot allow states to invalidate acts of Congress. All right. And they cannot let states leave in the Union defense of slavery. So Jackson clearly recognizes this. He threatens South Carolina with military action. He's commander-in-chief, right? But Congress luckily passes a compromise tariff bill in 1833, which allows both sides to back down. Jackson had stood firmly for federal authority and sharply in defense of the nature of the Union. All right? South Carolina was trying to promote state rights, all right, over tariffs, okay, and over their right of nullification, secession. We will see South Carolina will, when we get to the Civil War, be the first to secede, but when we look at their letter, it's going to be very much over slavery. All right, now I want to get into Jacksonian Reform for the next lecture. Remember nullification crisis, remember South Carolina, okay?